Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the Ecom X Factor podcast. In today's episode we have with us Zach Radford. Zach is a proud owner of ProfitableLeads.com. Zach and his team have been able to help their clients generate more than 40 million in ecom sales in the last 12 months using empathy, psychology and paid advertising. I got this off of his website, but it really sums him up. We are obsessed with human beings, how we think, how we act, and how we buy. Using our proprietary media buying methods, the profitable ads formula, we are able to leverage empathy and data to drive conversions for our clients. He has a different approach to scaling a business online. He's not solely focused on tactics. It's all about the customers and understanding how they buy and their journey. This episode is filled with golden nuggets, and if you apply them, you too will see the results you're after with paid ads. I highly suggest taking notes during this episode, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. Hi Zach, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing very well, and yourself? Thanks
I'm
for having
awesome. All good. Thank you for hopping on the call.
Hey man, happy to be here.
Cool. So you told me you're based in Canada, in Ontario.
Yes, Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, right by the giant waterfall, man. I'm about 10 minutes from the U.S. border here.
Nice. How's the weather these days? Is it freaking cold?
Yeah, it's actually been very strange, to be honest with you. So yesterday, perfect example, we got snow, rain, sun, all in the same day.
Ah, nice.
We're supposed to have sun, but it's coming, I hear.
Cool. So before we start getting into conversion rates, I'm so excited for this call. Can you tell us a bit about what you guys do and your background?
Yeah. So essentially, I got started in this business a long time ago. I was about 15, and I'm 33 now. Essentially, I became obsessed with the idea of getting an absolute stranger to take out their credit card and to purchase from my website. There's something about that as a marketer, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to understand the psychology and what everything looked like behind the scenes, but it was definitely not an easy path. I've tried so many ventures, and I've been with my wife of 10 years now. If you asked her, she would be like, she would throw her hand up in the air. We tried so many businesses. Essentially, I started running Google ads in about 2004, and we were running affiliate offers and all this great stuff. And then I ended up landing a job for one of the largest agencies here in Canada. They do about $100 million in top line revenue. Wow. And I saw what they were doing, and I was like, you know what? I could probably carve out a nice chunk of revenue for myself and my family, because what I noticed, it was all about bringing new clients in and not really servicing and providing the customer service and the results that the clients wanted. Literally, it was all about taking the money to burn and churn the clients, all that great stuff that you hear from these big agencies.
Yeah.
So I was like, dude, I do not want this in my life, because I had to go and speak to these clients. I was the one that was getting in between the eyes all the time, getting all that. And I'm like, I came home one day and I was like, my wife, Cassandra, I'm tired of this. I don't want to work in this corporate job anymore. And then she's like, start your own agency, baby. And I was like, all right, let's do it. We broke off and we started white label ads initially, and we were able to get extreme success really, really fast, helping other agencies grow. And then what happened is we realized we didn't really like working with other agencies. We found they added an extra layer of stress in there that I didn't need and didn't want. And we developed a formula, the profitable ads formula is what it's called now. And we've been able to create profitableads.com and really bring value to e-commerce store owners. And that's our market. That's who we serve. And that's what we focus on 24/7, man.
Cool. That's great. So what type of customers do you have these days? Huge stores, or drop shippers, or all over?
Very, very large stores. So we recently helped a jeweler go from next to nothing to almost $40 million in online sales.
Wow.
Traditional brick and mortar company, just the retargeting campaign alone, to put it in context, we spent $35,000 in retargeting and did $4.1 million in sales for him. And the cool thing is, and a lot of people think that if you're going to sell something on Facebook, it has to be $30, $20, $40. That is the wrong way to approach it, in my opinion. We're seeing he was selling a $10,000 engagement ring on there, and it was selling like hotcakes. So it's people are starting to get out of this weird comfort zone, right? people are buying houses and cars and wedding rings and all types of things on the internet, man. We're past that initial stage where, you know, like $30, $50. And I see drop shippers and young e-com businesses just get so caught up on that price point. So I just want to let your audience know, like, you can sell whatever you want, man. You can, if you're going to sell something, why not sell something for 100, 200, 300, you know, get your margin in there.
That's so interesting because like I had a friend of mine, he started also giving like agency services, and he also started promoting a jewelry store. And I told him, like, I wasn't quite sure what is the correct way to structure the funnel because it's so high ticket. So you mind sharing how exactly was the funnel, like what was the steps in the funnel? Did you bring them to the store, or what did you do?
Yeah, so we have a process that we use. And we were talking before this, like most people are promoting like the exact steps that you need to follow. What I really been talking about and kind of preaching is like, understanding how human beings kind of buy and purchase. Once you understand that process, you can sell anything. It doesn't matter if it's e-com, it doesn't matter about anything. Essentially at the highest level, we want to start with awareness. And I kind of broke it down into three main steps. We got demand, we got the engage process, and then we got the convert process. At the top level, demand is all about getting their attention. So what does this look like from an ad perspective? So advertorial. So for the jeweler, we did an advertorial that explained how great it would be for women to wear this ring, and we targeted men, and like and highlighted all the features of how amazing this is going to make you pronounce your love and show that affection for your partner. So before they even got pitched, they saw that page. And then the next step is the engage, and that's direct response. That's all about getting the right offer to them. And where I see so many people make mistakes, like, so if you're going to give somebody an offer for the first time, do not discount. Like, do not put discounts. Do not put all these promises. Do you ever see these ads? 50% off, the big sale. Like, people are getting smarter. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like they know that it's not real. So if you give them a straight up first time offer, you're still going to get a percentage of sales. That's the engage part. It's all about being direct response, getting them to your store, getting them to that page, getting them to take action. And then the convert part is all about giving them the offer, you know, like with the discount, you know, for the next X amount of days, this is what the sale price is going to be, and make it legit with scarcity. That's the secret, man. So it's like demand is all about awareness and understanding that. And we use advertorials, videos, articles, all that stuff. Engage is all about the direct response, setting like show them what your product is as is with all the benefits and features. And then convert is all about adding your discount in, adding in your special things. And they've earned that. They've seen your videos. You know what I'm saying? They've came to your page. Now here, let's bribe you to finish the purchase. So,
cool.
That's kind of the process that we've set up, and it works. And if you think of it from like if you take the online out of it, it's just how human beings that's how we chat, man. We don't know something until we see it, and they're like, oh, why do I need this? Okay, perfect. And then, oh, here's the offer. If I want it, I'll buy it. If not, maybe I won't buy this right now. And then we follow up with them with the retargeting and say, look, let's save 10%.
So for the demand campaigns, did you use like brand awareness campaigns or conversion campaigns?
So we actually did engagement campaigns, and they worked really, really well because especially on Facebook, if you're running an engagement campaign, you can build up that social proof massively. And that is the difference. Like, so we've seen a lot of campaigns. At first we run them and our clients will get scared because they're spending a lot of money and they're like, oh, it's not working. And I'm like, trust me, let's just build up that social proof. And as we did that with engagement campaigns, the click rate went up, the cost per click went down, we got more traffic. And the way to look at these three stages is just kind of like a mindset, right? Like where they're at, and they get their awareness, the consideration, and then the conversion, and it's a beautiful thing.
Cool. And what's the conversion in store or offline or online? Do people buy the engagement? Wow.
Online. But so here is. And then this is why data is so important, because we discovered that it took an average of 12 to 17 visits to actually make the purchase. So retargeting, And it's more than just that. Like we had SMS set up, we had email set up, we had Messenger set up. We also had the retargeting campaign. So we're touching them at every possible thing. I was trying to push them to do direct mail as well, because that would have made sense. You know what I mean? People that have got to almost to the checkout point and then send them direct mail with a special coupon offer. But they didn't end up doing that, and they still saw amazing results, man. So it's all about working them from the top of funnel slowly down and understanding like how human beings buy, man.
So cool. And what guarantees did you implement? Like how, like for someone who now buys such an expensive ring, so how did you convince him to trust you guys?
So they have a great name. So basically they built their brand for like 50 plus years. They're very well known, and they just offered money back guarantee, unconditional, and then they certified the packaging as well, like so the shipping. So in case anything got lost in the mail or there's any problems, it would be all insured and covered. So it was very above board, and it wasn't anything special that was like, here's the big one thing. I think it was a combination to do with their branding and their promise to guarantee the package. That was what kind of pushed them over. But like their phone number was available on the website, especially if your listeners are new to eCom, put your phone number, even like it doesn't matter. Okay. If you don't have like a business line set one up. You can do it with like Google Call or wherever it is you do, and put it on your site. That's going to help your conversion rate jump up. People won't actually call you necessarily. A small percentage will, but the vast majority just want to know that they're going to be safe, right? Like if I buy from this person, because that's all it is, it's a trust thing. And that's why I work them through this process, because then it's like, oh, I saw an article about these guys the other day. Oh, here's the conversation. Oh, and now I can save some money. That's kind of how we work it. So
I agree. Yeah, you can also buy just a voice box. I use Sonatel. You just buy a voice box and you get all the recording to your email, and then the VAs can answer. Pretty easy, and as you said, it really increases the conversion rates. So
drastically, right? Because it's a trust thing. And I with probably 2 or 3 eCom store owners a day, and I would say about 90% do not have that in place. And I always give that information away for free. I'm like, look, just do that. Trust me, because you're going to see an increase. Right?
I agree. And for the SMSs and the Messenger, did you use one program like ManyChat, or did you use different softwares?
We used ManyChat. We used ManyChat, and it was nothing complicated. It was very simple. It was just like letting them know that they can get a discount and a deal that move forward. And essentially what we did is just reward people. The further they went down the funnel, the better deal that they got. And then we also would reset the funnel. So we had, especially with our retargeting, we didn't just like send SMSs every single day and or messengers. And I think people confuse email. You know, it's not like email. Sending
it's different.
Very different conversation. Very personal. If you start selling aggressively there, people are gonna like mark you as spam, and you don't want all those problems. We just used it for the initial bump, and then that's it. We didn't even reuse it at any other point. So basically they would initiate checkout, then we would serve them the text messages or the messenger, and that's it at that point.
Cool.
You know what I mean? And it was just a simple offer to try to get an order bump to increase the order flow. And it works really well because the open rate is huge, and you don't need to be that aggressive. I don't get too far into the weeds, because I find, especially if you're a new store, worry about how people are going through, are going to buy. And then if you get into like, what messages do I send here? All that, if you have a good base and you have a buyer persona, all of that stuff, you'll figure it out. You know what I mean? And every market has these little nuances and a little bit different, but yeah, that would be my recommendation. Keep things simple as possible.
I agree.
Don't worry about all the technical stuff, because you will get lost. I promise.
I agree. For sure. Speaking about tactics, so for the listeners that didn't even create a buyer's persona, so how do you approach creating a buyer persona? For each store, do you have like three different types of personas, or one main persona? How do you think about the persona?
So we have a 4-step psychological process that we go through and kind of breaks things down. I'm not going to get into all of it because I'll be talking for like 2 hours.
We have time. We have time.
Basically, the main thing with the buyer persona is we make one for who we want to sell it to, and then we make one for who we don't want to sell it to. Now, this is a very important distinction because they overlap, right? And why, like, so why would you think, like, why would you make one for somebody who wasn't going to buy? And this is the person that may buy your product, but they won't share it. They won't do anything. Like, they're just like, yeah, it's a great initial sale. We're trying to find out who the superstar is, who's going to buy your product, who's going to post it on Facebook, who's going to share it with their friends and be excited. We want to, our marketing dollars has to go to that individual because yeah, we will get front end sales from these individuals, maybe, but they're not going to help and grow your business. What I see so much is that everybody's like, my Facebook ads on the front end. And because I'm a Facebook ad agency, I see this constantly. Everybody's focused on that front end sale. Yeah. That's not where you make a lot of your money, to be honest with you. It's the retargeting that we do, the cross-selling, the promotion, all of that stuff, your email marketing, man. Yeah. Beautiful things when those are in place. So I basically break them down into two categories. We want to talk about all their demographics, like their interests, who they are. We make up funny names for them just because it's, fun. Fun and something to do. And then so basically we call it like the heaven profile and the devil profile or the hell profile. And like those are who we want. You don't want someone to buy your product, call and complain and get refunds and all that stuff. We try to identify that individual, and then we do the same for the heaven men. So
cool. So let's say, for example, the persona of the jewelry store. So how does the persona of the guy that you don't want to buy look like? Like what was the demographics? How did you characterize him?
I don't recall right off the top of my head, but like just like off the top of my head, somebody who is going to bog down customer support with 10,000 questions and then not buy and waste time. That's who we don't want.
It's pretty generic. It's pretty generic. The person that you don't want is pretty generic. It's always the same.
But I find just going through the process of writing that down as I write my copy, as we build our creative, as we build our funnel, as we build our marketing messages, it makes sense because you're like, oh, is this the type of person that we want to have in here? And they're both kind of generic in the sense that like where they work, what they do, and we're just kind of trying to make these things up. But what it does is it acts as a baseline who we want to be talking to. Because I always find that I get caught up and I get excited in, like we had a legging business, my wife and I, when I first got into eCom, and I spent so much time focusing on the technical side that I believe it really hurt the overall growth of the business. And we were talking to 10 different people at the same time. I'm talking personas here. And so it was very confusing. And then over time, I've learned to just hone that into two different camps. Now, this one camp, like people that are going to actually buy, this could be multitude of people. It could be men, women, children, like whoever it is that you're selling to. And same with people that are not, but at least it gives you that line and that baseline to like, okay, so what should I say in this email? What should I say in this SMS? What should I say in this? And then I look at it from their perspective. Like, so would the heaven person or the good profile, would they understand this? Like, would this make sense to them? They kind of stand from their perspective and look at all your advertising, which absolutely helps.
Yeah, I agree. I call it, for me, before I launch a landing page, I proofread it from the point of view of my persona.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
A lot of times, if I'm aiming, if my target market are older women, so I'm going to send the page and the whole funnel to my mom, and I ask her to try to go through the funnel and ask her if it makes sense.
So I got something else for you here. I'm going to see if I can pull it up quickly. I'll be able to share.
Awesome.
So let's see, is this ours? All right. So we have a bunch. Remember I said that we have a 4-step process. I'll give you another step here. Can I share my screen? Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, you can share for sure.
Yeah, okay, cool. I can't. It says disabled.
See?
Or you can share it with me if you want. So I can explain it verbally if you'd like.
I think I want to... Who can share? All participants. Yeah, now you can share your screen.
Okay, cool. So this is just one that we've done for ourselves and who we're going after, but we call this the empathy path. And this is another level on top of your buyer persona. So if you haven't figured out by now, our agency is much more focused on the psychological aspects of the buying process. And the reason that is because it absolutely works. When you know who and why you're selling to somebody, it becomes very easy.
Agreed.
The whole path is kind of laid out for you. So this is one that we use. And as you can see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions that we ask to really understand what frame of mind these people are in, and what's happening in the marketplace, what the market is seeing, what the market is hearing, what the market is saying and doing, what's their heaven and what's their hell. Heaven being like after they use your product or buy your product, they are in the best place in the world, to where are their major pain points, why they need to have your product fulfilled. And by asking these questions, I'm telling you, it's like you will understand this individual so much more. So let's say every market has extreme competition, right? You want to know what are they seeing in the marketplace. You want to know what your competitors are priced at. You want to know what type of messaging they're using, what hooks they're using, what type of benefits and features they're like, what are they seeing in there? Now, this can be as granular or as wide as you would like. So I get all of their landing pages. I get crazy with it, man. I'm taking screenshots and I'm researching that market like crazy. I sign up for all the email newsletters. I'll just create a new Google email. And I'll also set up Google alerts for that industry. Anybody types in that, and then just have that data. And I'm going in there every day and I'm just seeing what's there, flipping through things, what type of copy they're using, what videos they're using, and really being able to break down that process. Now, I'm not doing that because I want to copy them, but I'm trying to get a holistic picture of what the market is putting out there, so I can understand what the market is thinking, what the market is seeing, and what they're seeing, what they're hearing in the marketplace. So with those, even just those top 3, you're able to build, it helps you build your profile so much more fully because it's asking the right questions, right? If you're new to a marketplace, let's say you're drop shipping, maybe you're doing private label drop shipping or whatever that looks like. You're coming into a marketplace and you think you have a winning product. That's great. Okay. And you're going to get some sales and that's good. But if you take a step back and say, how can I turn this into a brand and have this conversation? How does my logo, how does my copy, how does everything, become one cohesive unit? Answering these questions will show you what your competitors are doing and what the actual customers are seeing in the marketplace and how to position yourself much better and really kick butt. And now nobody does this stuff because it's not the most exciting.
But it's so important on the other hand.
It is very important. And you'll see a lot of people talking about which buttons to push on Facebook, how to run Google or YouTube ads or whatever the case is. There's always this new hack and this new thing. This doesn't change. The reason it doesn't change is because human beings barely change. We're the same. We're not going anywhere. And I think when the focus is on the human side of things, running Facebook, obviously you need to know what buttons to push. You know what I mean? You can find out easily. It's about building that core concept behind that, like who this person is, understanding what they're thinking, what they're seeing, what they're hearing, what they're doing, they're saying. And man, that is the power of marketing and advertising.
That's awesome. Do you mind, instead of elaborating regarding each question, do you mind if we just do a thought exercise? We choose a typical dropshipping product and fill in all the questions. For example, let's say a posture corrector or a teeth whitening toothpaste. Sure. So what exactly is the difference between what is your market thinking to what is your market seeing? So let's do this. You mind?
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's go. So what product do you want to use? You want to use the tooth whitening?
No, let's do the posture corrector.
Posture corrector, yeah, that's what we need. We need more stores selling those.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Okay. So what is the market thinking right now? So before they're going to buy that product, I can tell you what they're thinking. My back.
My pain.
Yeah, I'm working too hard. I'm crunched over all the time. So this is what they're thinking all the time. Right? And what they're seeing is ads all over Facebook, all over YouTube, all over stuff with these different gadgets and stuff that's actually going to solve this problem. What they're hearing is promises and guarantees that this is going to be the solution. We're different than everybody else. What the market is saying and doing is that they're buying things that'll solve a major problem, which would be like posture. They're buying these quick fix items that are probably not going to do the trick. So for example, if you had a product that was different and really actually solved the problem, that would be a spot that I would focus in on. So it's like what's the market saying and doing? They're making all these outlandish promises and then they're delivering very little. So how we can combat that? Oh, sorry.
So sorry for this. A cool trick they can do is you can go to Amazon. You can go to Amazon and see all the one-star reviews and see what customers are complaining about.
Perfect. We do that all the time, and then so that's a part of our research process that we do. Cool. The copy that is there. Like if you go look through those reviews, they will write. It's a gold mine for copy.
For sure.
Especially all the problems and complaining about products. Like I've literally seen clients, you know, if you go look through the reviews on a particular product, are you tired of this? Are you tired of this? Are you tired of this? All the negative things. And so
the heaven would be?
Their heaven would be that their back doesn't hurt anymore. Things are good. They actually bought a product that solved their problem. And the hell that they're in is really, it's twofold. It's based in like, they have a sore back, you know, life absolutely sucks. And what would be even worse is if they bought a product and it didn't work. And so it's like, for that particular market, I would just get really heavy on the case studies, very heavy on maybe some influencer marketing, like a doctor or some sort of reputable source for the product authority. That's kind of how I would really play that. I do not get involved in too many medical devices or lotions and potions is what I call them, because there's a lot out there. We do work with nutrition companies, but it's got to be like 100% legit. So, and I like to sleep at night, so I only sell things that I know that are going to be great for the market. That's just, you can make easy money, but it's going to come back to you in some way, I guarantee.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah, man.
Cool. And you mentioned before that you also created, it's kind of not related, but I don't want to forget this question because it's interesting for me. You mentioned that you also created like pieces of content.
Yes.
So, and a lot of people, they don't, in my opinion, they don't utilize enough pre-sales and content in order to promote their e-commerce. So can you share a bit of guidelines regarding the content that you've created?
So let's just go, I'm going to show you, we're going to teach you how to fish today is what we're going to do.
Nice.
So we go to you can go to any main site that has native ads on it, and you will find so many pre-frame pages that you will never have to figure out how to do one again. So this is obviously we're doing this live. I don't know exactly which ones we're going to pull. Yeah. Here's an example. This one here is, they're probably just they're doing ads. But if you go through and click all of these ads, you will find some of the best pre-frame pages in the business. Affiliate marketing, selling a lot of the lotions and potions and all of the very medical related stuff. Yeah. Those guys have spent millions and millions of dollars testing out this process. Let's just see if we can pull some up here.
Could change meat processing.
Yeah. So here, what do we got? Stocks that can set you up for life. I love this stuff. And this is what I do in my spare time. My wife.
It's fun.
So basically go to your news site or wherever that you're consuming content outside of Facebook and just look at the ads and click those ads and you'll find more pre-frame pages. So who is this guy? Okay. Wealth after 50. Who do you think they're targeting here? Gray-haired guy. He's excited because on the stock market. And then they go ahead and they tell this story and then they get them to opt in. With the eCom ones, we're essentially doing the same thing. We know in the title, it's all about who it's for. And then we kind of break down that process of telling a story. Human beings learn by story. Like you can tell somebody all the features and benefits until you're blue in the face, but if you can wrap those features and benefits around a story, they'll remember that story. And in turn, they'll remember all the features and benefits. And when they see your ads again, they're like, oh yeah, this is that story This is that how to invest in stocks after 50 guy. Yes, I remember that. I don't remember that which stocks to pick or any of that stuff. I'm trying to find. Let's try to find an e-commerce one for you that are here. And I would show you our clients, but I don't want to do it.
No, it's fine.
We have a lot of. They're paying us.
Yeah, for sure.
So I see one all the time, and they get so creative with this. So it would be like Niagara Falls, like where I live.
Yeah. The IP. Yeah, they use the IP.
Yeah.
Over the as seen on NBC. Yeah, right.
Okay. This is what you look for. It says advertorial at the top.
Yeah.
That just basically means advertising. So all these problems, you know. And they're basically what they really do is they highlight what life is without this product, the hell, right? And then they come in with the heaven, which is the solution. And what are these guys actually trying to sell? So leaf lifter. I'm not sure if that, okay, so this is what it is right here, how it works. It blocks it and still lets rain through. Which, yeah, that's a pretty good idea for a product, to be honest with you, because I know a lot of people hate paying to have that stuff done. And then you can go get your...
It's like a quiz. It's like a quiz, I guess.
Yeah. And then, so these guys probably are more like phone sales, I would say. But it gives you an idea. So basically you want to highlight how terrible life is. And by answering these questions, like what's your market thinking? You know, I got leaves in the, like I can't get those leaves out there. I'm going to have to climb on a ladder. This absolutely sucks. What they're seeing on the marketplace is, well, we can hire these companies, but it's not a permanent solution. I got to keep hiring all these services. What they're hearing is that if we don't do that, we can damage our house and there could be all these problems. What they're saying and doing is calling these service companies every single year, spending, you know, whatever, $500, $500, $500, and it's starting to add up. And heaven is that the problem goes away and there's a solution that will fix that around the house. And their hell is if they don't fix that, they'll lose home value or keep paying for the service for the rest of your life. Something like that.
So based on these answers, are you going to craft a testimonial, or you're going to just see that you implement them in the landing page in different sections? Do you have a certain way of structuring the page?
So how we and it's different. It's we do it a little bit different every single time, and we're always testing and tweaking. But essentially, this one is which one was it? This one's almost perfect, I would say. I absolutely love what they've done. They have these quick little videos here. They're seeing the product. Like this is perfect. But yeah, so essentially, kind of why we do ask those questions, why we do the personas. We have one called the buyer's journey as well, because we want to understand that journey that person's going through, and that way we can really tweak anything. All of these things are for like that high level thinking. It's the point of reference, because you can start, like you can go down a path and like get totally lost, especially with marketing and your ads and your messaging and all that stuff. This is just a way to keep you bringing it back to that starting point. We run all of our pages very traditionally. Like we have the headline. The only thing I would put on here is a sub headline, just because I'm a big sub headline guy. Like it could be like a quote of what somebody is saying or thinking. And the only way you know that is by asking those questions and understanding that to your market, and then basically highlight what the problem is and how we can solve that. And then you get a certain percentage of people that will throw through this. Now the next step to this would be a direct offer. Hey, do you want to solve your problem, your gutter problems? Full price, again, get them to come to that quiz and solve that problem. And then the retargeting would be like, hey, 10% off. You know, first action takers for the next 7 days. And all of our retargeting and everything that we do is like legit scarcity, because there's so much fake BS out there. So we want to really just be like, and if they come back, they'll see that the site is not on sale, right? So
it's so important to create
very much important.
real scarcity and not just fake scarcity, because as you said, I don't remember if you said it before the call or during the call, that people are becoming smarter and customers have been scammed so many times. They are very suspicious. So if you want to build a long-term business, you have to be legit and authentic, and don't use like shitty tricks.
This is it. Well, it's trust. It's all about trust. if you break their trust there, you know what I mean? Like how else are you going to do it? And it's not, maybe they're not thinking that, but at a subconscious level, they're like, okay, I shouldn't trust these guys. Right? And there's a percentage of people that'll buy anyways. They'll buy absolutely anything you put in front of them for the most part. But we're looking for great clients, you know, or great customers that will do repeat business with you and will refer people and all that great stuff. That's kind of how we look at it. But yeah, that's kind of how we set it up. And to kind of preface everything, I guess I should have said this from the beginning. We start closest to the money. So we set up the retargeting ads first. Then we set the direct response, and then we set this up.
I like this. Nice.
Yeah, because
makes sense. Because if the money is on the floor with the retargeting, you want to get the money already as soon as possible.
Definitely. And we have clients that come in, and their first question to us is, how long is this going to take? What does this process look like? So for us as an agency, it's very advantageous for us to get them results as soon as humanly possible. How do we do that? We start at the bottom. And if this was my money and this was like my project that I was building, you know, start at the retargeting. If you have existing traffic, retargeting is your most valuable asset. That and cross-selling and upselling, which is like a whole nother conversation, but man, very, very important. When done right, like you can make 20, 30, 40, 50 ROAS on that retargeting because those people trust you, they know you, they understand your brand, your messaging, and they just buy, man, whatever you have to sell.
That's cool. That's so awesome. So you use mainly Facebook ads, or do you use like also other platforms?
Yeah, so we just do like we're like digital media buying. So we do all Facebook, YouTube, and Facebook. We primarily focus in on Facebook just because we see the greatest results. But I'm a big believer in not relying on one source of traffic. And the reason we started doing Google and YouTube and some native is because I would be a hypocrite if I didn't start implementing multiple sources of traffic for my clients, right? Because have you ever had your ad account banned? That sucks. We have it happen all the time. Like it's just
Wow, I hate that.
And then we got to call our rep, and then we got to go back and forth, and we got to deal with that and get that solved. But man, like I would lose sleep if all I had was one source of traffic. Especially if it's your livelihood. And it's not so bad if it's a side hustle and you're just trying to make some extra money, whatever, that's cool. But if you're going to be serious about it, you got to look at SEO, you got to look at your email, you got to look at all these other avenues, you know, Google, YouTube, to grow your business. Not all at once, find one that works and then move to the next and move to the next. But relying on one is
so how do you approach YouTube ads? Like how would you say they are different from Facebook? And
I would say more like infomercial style seems to work really well on YouTube. I look at YouTube as kind of replacing TV in a sense. Now, I'm not talking like the sham wow guy style, but very similar. You know what I mean? Or I can't remember his name. Billy, the guy with the beard, Billy Blank. No, it's not Billy Blanks. It's Billy. Anyways, you know, like the infomercial.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Like I've seen on TV ads.
Yeah, exactly. So those can work there, but it's similar. It's a version of that. The best ads that we see that work on YouTube is the product being used to solve a problem. What we find that works great on any network is just user-generated content. Like somebody using your product to solve a problem. The worse quality, the better. If somebody's got a cell phone and it's all shaky and it
I agree
so well, because then they can say, oh, these guys aren't, you know what I mean? They're not trying to just get my money here. This actually works. This is somebody using the product. And it's what it's saying at a subconscious level, again, to that end user. And we've had clients that spend a lot of money and on building out their videos and all that stuff. And it just doesn't, it works, but it's not as nice as some user-generated content. What works really well on YouTube as well is authority stuff. Authority. There's a brand that I admire who's doing really well. You see trysnow.com, the teeth whitening?
No, I don't know them, but I'll check them out.
Yeah, you can check them out. And essentially, they're on like daytime television. They're on like all of these things. And it's with the teeth whitening that glows. You put that on there.
Yeah.
They've done like a ridiculous amount of numbers of that product. The ads that I see them running all the time are like, there's a show called The Wendy Show, and they're like, so it's like daytime television, and they're running that. like crazy. I've been running that for the past couple of months. And I know it's working because if you see something more than
so it means it's working.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, for sure. And they use influencer marketing like I've never seen before. Like they have Chuck Liddell, they have like all of these.
Wow. Yeah, I know them. Hisense. No, I Smile. I think.
So that's one of them. Yeah, that's one very similar. This one's called. I can just show you.
Yeah, I know. I know. I saw like with Conor McGregor and everybody. Like.
Yeah, and I'm not affiliated with the brand at all. I'm just like a fan. I watch their marketing all the time. Oh, they got that down. Oh, well, it could be me. It could be my site. But if you look, here, let me try to reload this. Not doing them justice, man. Anyway, for some reason that's not loading. But like you can see, like Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Got models. They got Mayweather.
McGregor. Yeah.
Mayweather, Conor McGregor. Like those are good ads.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if you get a celebrity putting your product in their mouth, even like that's even better. Like, it's really depending on your market, but that works really good on YouTube. So basically, user-generated content works well. Influencers, authorities works really, really well. Similar to on Facebook, I would say they're similar. I would make my content more snappy for YouTube. We find shorter the content works better. Because people like they don't care, they just want to see what they want to see, like whatever they're clicking on. So you have that short little window to get their attention, where Facebook is kind of like again, you want to have shorter content, but you can have a longer story on there because you can get them to your article. We haven't really done much pre-framing stuff on YouTube. We're more really geared towards the initial offer and or retargeting, which works well.
I see. Interesting. And how exactly do you get the users to generate the content? Like for me, I tell my customer support team that anytime they encounter a happy customer, they just send them like a template with instructions exactly how we want them to create the video, and we also offer a gift. But do you use like any platform in order to get influencers, or do you have a template for?
No, we do not. I use friends and family. That's a big source right there. We give away product for free. Like, so somebody that we want to work with, we just send that to them with no real expectations that they would do that. But we say we would love to have you do a post on Instagram or to make some sort of video with this. That works well. I do see that there are services out there. We just haven't had to utilize them. I have a huge network of people that like free stuff. So just, and everybody likes free things. That's kind of how we do it. If we do find the perfect customer that's excited and ready to go, that's great as well. It just doesn't happen fast enough for us because we like to have, like when a client comes on, I want to see, like, for example, for the jeweler, I want to see women getting the ring for the first time. I want to see that reaction, all of that stuff. And if we wait for that, it'll probably never come. And even if we're doing that. So we gave discounts on the product to them to film it. We actually had somebody film their entire wedding. It was like, so we could do little pieces of it and stuff like that. So our actual agency is not so much on the creative side. We're more on the psychology and the media buying side. But that's how I would do it, man.
Cool. Makes sense. And like, do you have like a distribution that you would suggest for, like, let's say someone is starting now to run ads? Would you say he needs to invest like 90% of the media buying in Facebook, or you'd suggest doing 50-50 with YouTube? Or do you think that Facebook ads is more relevant to low ticket and YouTube ads for high ticket? Like, what is your take on regarding what platform to choose and how to distribute the media buying?
So we think of everything in terms of data, and it depends on your data. If I have a brand new store, I'm going to Google, and I'm going to run Google ads for the first little bit, full budget. And the reason I do that, maybe we would do some retargeting on Facebook, 10%. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm trying to accrue data. Like, the more better buyer data that I have, then we're going to take that information. And that's rarely profitable, by the way. Like, we're losing money at this point. We're just trying to get 100 people to buy from us. Once we have that, we're able to go to Facebook, and then we can start that conversation. Then our CPAs go from like whatever, $100 down to like 20, 30, 15, like it works its way down. So that's kind of our process. My recommendation, if you're brand new and you're just starting, get in front of the demand, because 3% of the market is waking up today wanting to solve that problem that your product solves. Get in front of those people. It's expensive as hell. But what it's going to do is give you the data to be able to then go back to Facebook and to really do it. Or you could go to Facebook originally and spend, I've seen people spend tens of thousands of dollars to get the same data that they could have spent $1,000 on Google, right? So we look at it from a data perspective. That's just because that's where our main focus is. And with Facebook to have success, the greater data that you can feed it, the better, right?
And regarding the data, when you say gathering the data, so you talk about mainly the pixel getting as much events as possible, or like doing like real data breakdown using Google Analytics and analyzing the journey, or both?
Oh, we do both. We do both. So like I was just starting and I had to give advice. I would just be trying to get sales. I'd be looking for sales. Obviously, you want to have both pixels installed. You want to have, and we also use Tag Manager as well, which is great. And I have for your users a free guide of all of the actual audiences that we've used. So we've like battle tested these audiences on Facebook, and we're going to give those guys, we'll give those to you, and we'll talk about it in a second.
Nice.
But essentially, if you're able to like identify like top percentage of time on site, works so well. Like the people that are not necessarily buying, but they're on your site for like 25% of the time more than anybody else, that is like a premium audience, and I'll give you a free book to help you with that. But essentially, we're just trying to get sales, and then we can, and the better data, like the best data is like repeat sales. And we get even crazier if we, like, let's say you sell 20 different products, for example, and we want to isolate the person who's spending the most with you. We will build a custom email list and build audiences based off of that as well. We call it like super audience list and stuff. So yeah, hopefully did I explain that right? I don't know.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Like the customers with the highest LTV, like the whales. This is called the whales.
Hopefully. Yeah, the whales. As many of those as possible. So when it comes to data, like the best data is somebody taking their credit card out and purchasing from you. And so Facebook, I'm not sure what they recommend. I think they recommend 50 to build a lookalike audience. We try to double that and even sometimes triple that if we can. With that information, now we can go over to Facebook and say, give me more of this. And this is the secret, is that Facebook, their machine learning is so smart. It's not AI, it's not that level, but it's very, very smart. And we just let it run. And sometimes, here's a little trick that we do. If we run a campaign and it's getting sales, but not where we would like it, we just duplicate that campaign. And sometimes it'll cut the CPA in half. Like we've seen that happen multiple times. And the better data that we can provide for it, it just crushes. Like our main campaigns that are doing like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a day in ad spend are just running broad, US broad, nothing. Like based on the lookalike audiences, based on the data, looking for conversions. That's it.
Amazing. And as someone that buys so much traffic and media on Facebook, so would do you mind sharing a bit of like guidelines, because a lot of people, they're not sure if they should use CBOs or asset budgets or
CBOs, my friend.
Use CBOs?
Don't. I'll give you one nugget that changed everything for me. And if you read the Facebook best policies or whatever they're calling it, their service, basically there's one little line in there that changed everything for me. You have to give Facebook the budget to give you 10 of that in any given day. So for example, if I want purchases and I'm willing to pay $30 for a purchase, your budget should be, technically according to Facebook, $300. So they can deliver 10 of those purchases for you. Where everybody makes their mistake is that they're like $25 budget. Facebook doesn't have the room. That'd be like tying one hand behind your back and being like, go try to find things for me. It's impossible. You have to give it the budget. If you've tested the product and people are interested in it, like you see other people marketing it and they're getting in sales and they have ads and you know that it's selling, give it the budget. And I know it's scary at first, but the second we stopped nickeling and diming on the ad set level and we started going to CBO, our entire business changed.
That's cool. That's amazing. Yeah, because a lot of people, they have like the small budget method, which is they give like $5 for a lot of assets. And then they go and say, I have assets with 8 ROAS, but they they don't consider the assets that they had to kill, because with $5 every day, if you get one sale, you probably already have at least a 4%, like 4x ROAS. So it doesn't make sense at all. But I understand people who do this because they don't have a lot of money to spend. So they are afraid, but it doesn't make sense from the Facebook point of view, and it doesn't give you like statistical significance. If you just spend $5 and the CPM is $10, so you only see 500 impressions, so it's nothing.
Definitely. It's all about, you have to set it up to be successful. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I look at it. And we use dynamic creative now. So we let Facebook do, that's the dirty little secret, is that Facebook does 99% of the lifting. Psychology stuff, we set that up. We set up the copy. We give scripts for the creative. We get them to that point where, like, as the best chance of success, hand it over to Facebook, give it the budget it needs to work, and it works. I see all the time people are like, oh, I spent $2,000, I made $20,000. That's amazing. That's very good. But what does that look like when you're spending $2,000 to $5,000 a day on ads? Like, how does that translate? You know what I mean? Like, it's a big difference. I would rather have 5 ROAS across the board when we're spending that high level than like 20, and then it's going like this, because you
obviously you want the most profit. I don't care if my profits, like if my ROAS is small but the profit is higher, so I prefer this.
And consistent, because as a business owner, you need, like, payrolls, like you have your customer service, and then you're always just changing money, right? Because you're buying inventory and doing all this different stuff. Especially when you get to a higher level, right? Like, you need that cash, and consistency is a huge part of running a business.
I agree. And do you use like any manual biddings or
we have in the past, but we're getting to a point, like, Facebook's getting so smart that we're not even having to do it. So that's why we've really doubled down on the psychology side of things, because that's the next step that Facebook can't automate, right? So that's where, as an agency, that's kind of our moat that protects us and what we do and all of our systems and processes that we have around that, because it's a great time. Like, anybody can really, if they have the budget and the know-how, they could literally launch a campaign and be successful. You know, I've seen campaigns that I thought wouldn't do well, literally make millions and millions of dollars.
Yes,
so,
this happens so often. This happens so often. Like,
who's gonna buy that thing? I always joke inside the agency, I'm like, I don't want to be right. I just want to make money.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, nice. I'm going to steal this as well.
No worries. It's good, man.
That's cool. Awesome. So, do you use like any tools, any recommended tools that you suggest, like very powerful tools that you started using lately?
We do a lot of our stuff manual. We're a different type of agency in the fact that we just want to provide the best customer service and results. So we mostly just partner with people, and we do all those processes manually. As far as like the customer service, I don't have a particular tool. Like, I would have said ClickFunnels a while ago if you would have asked me, but I've even stopped using that. We do use Hotjar. Hotjar is good for seeing what's happening on the site and understanding the breakdown. We use a lot of free tools, like speed matters with your pages. Like, are you looking at what your competitors' pages are loading at? Like, because not a lot of people do that. I want to understand like what their pages are loading at, what ours are, and just constantly comparing. And again, manually, I take a look at all my competitors' stores, and I go and I look at all the apps that they're using. You can literally, I forget what it is. You just go to like Page Inspect, and you can see everything that they're using. I'm breaking that down, but again, very manual process, but very profitable when done right. You know what I mean? So our goal is not to have 1,000 clients. Our goal is to have 15 clients that we service very, very well. Because once we have something that's working, it works really, really well. So,
that's cool. That's amazing. Nice.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't have any tools or hacks that way.
So you use like the Facebook Ads Manager. You don't use like RevealBot or anything like that, or?
No, we're in there. So the account manager is in there, and we trust Facebook to run the ads. We run CBOs. If we do the prep work before we launch our campaign well enough, and give Facebook the tools it needs, the data, all the right copy and creative, and the landing pages set up, we give it, and it does the work for us, man.
And what is your take regarding like ad fatigue? Do you feel that you refresh the ads very often, or?
No. So we just we duplicate it. That's all we do. We just duplicate it and then it starts working again.
Thank you for being honest. I feel the same.
No, for sure. Like we do. So we go, it really depends. If we start duplicating it and it's still not working, then we will look at the creative. Sure. Something to keep in top of mind for your copy that you're writing is talk about what nobody else is talking about. So during Corona here and all this stuff, we really were like stuck in your house under like having that conversation, identify the elephant in the room, because there's always things that are happening in the world that nobody really wants to talk about. And if it's affecting them and it's on their mind on a daily basis at a subconscious level, they'll relate to that ad. So that's something that we do put into our advertising and try to make it relevant. So right now, as we're starting to open up for Corona, guess what our ads are saying? Excited to get outside?
Yeah. Nice.
Oh, it is the last time you have like, and we just tie that back to whatever the product and services we're selling. So
cool.
Yeah, just be relevant and be cool.
Nice. Very, very interesting. Like a lot of cool stuff. So like, let's start to wrap things up. So what would you suggest, like 3 most crucial tips for a beginning store owner or dropshipper, that stuff that you wish you knew when you just started and you see people, like mistakes that people often do or stuff like that?
Yeah. Number 1, put a phone number on your site. That will help with conversion. Even if you have a terrible site, you at least have a phone number to call. I've seen some very ugly websites do very, very well, by the way. So I put my phone number on there. I would also recommend social proof. Anyway, I've seen stores like if a customer has text messaged you or even have like somebody that you know text message you, take that screenshot, put it on your site. That's helped a lot as well. I wouldn't recommend, like there are tools and apps and stuff out there and there's tons of tutorials on that, but I just wouldn't get lost on that. I would focus on what actually matters, the customer journey, understand like every step of your customer's problems that you're solving with that product, and you'll be successful. And my next one would be data. The better data that you can feed Facebook, the better results you will get. So we talked about building that super audience. Ideally, if you can take your, and I believe you can do this in Shopify, where you build a list of like customers who've spent the most money with you. You just take the top half that you want to work with, then feed that into Facebook. That audience is a gold mine.
Yeah,
it's very, very good, and it works.
Yeah, so just elaborating regarding this, you can go to Shopify and you can filter or sort the customers based on the money that they paid, lifetime value, and then you just upload it as a custom audience, including the value. And this is something a lot of people don't do, but it is very powerful. The CPMs are very expensive, but the CPAs are much better than normal.
Definitely. And if you're looking at your business just from a front end perspective, it kind of like, don't focus so much just on the initial sale. Think about what can I sell them next? What's that next conversation? What are the emails I'm going to send? All of that. Because I believe a journey only begins after they give you the first purchase. A lot of drop shippers are focused on that first initial sale. I know people that are even losing money on the front end so they can then sell them. They understand that lifetime value. And when you're able to do that, you can outspend your competitors. You can crush and dominate your market.
Yeah, I agree. Because if you're just relying on the first sale, so it's a race to the bottom, because the CPMs are becoming higher. A lot more marketers are joining the marketplace, and if you don't have like retention, so you're probably going to lose because people are going to outspend you. So
definitely. And then when a big brand decides, like Walmart or Amazon decides that they're going to start running ads over top of yours now, like what are you going to do? You can't outspend them. So you have to start thinking about the long game and building a real business and a brand. So you see like a good brand would be like Coleman's. Do you ever see those guys?
Nope.
So Coleman's in Canada, they do like camping gear, but they sell everything under the sun camping related. And when you see Coleman's, you know it's a good product because they stand behind it and their warranty and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, they're probably not even manufacturing half of that stuff. It's all being, private labeled and all of that stuff. So think about the bigger picture of your business and what you're trying to build it into. Understand that these are human beings and like they're just like you. Things make them upset, things make them happy.
Yeah.
And you got to position yourself in a way to have more people be happy with you than pissed off.
I agree. And you mentioned like studying like how to craft an offer and how to think about the funnel. And do you have like any resources or guys that you follow that you can suggest, or books that influenced you a lot?
Yes. My recommendation would just be to look at your competitors. And I keep like, I have a never-ending swipe file that I'm always taking screenshots, and that's like my source of inspiration. And like I said, for fun, I literally go on to like news sites and I'm clicking on those ads, and I am like building a list, a database of great things. And another tip that I would give to your audience is look for stuff that's happening in another industry and try to bring that over. I see that happen a lot, man. And even we were talking about my headline on the site. You're like, where'd you get that? I got that from a totally different industry, brought that over to mine. Some of the best ideas are already taking place. They're just not being used in your context. So
I agree. You mentioned the swipe file. So how do you manage the swipe file? I'm just wondering, because
I just take a bunch of screenshots
and place them in the Google Drive.
Yeah, I just put them in Google Drive. We have like, and then I have a spreadsheet where I literally just will put the URLs. Everything we do is very simple. It's not, I don't have any complex things.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, is that if you can simplify your business, like my business right now is super simple. It's myself and my media buyers. I handle the front end sales, and they go in the head and they buy the media. I oversee the projects. Very simple. If there's a problem, there's like a 2-second conversation. Things are solved. Where when I worked for my large agency here in Canada, the one project would come in, it would go to anywhere from, I think it was like 4 to 7 departments.
Yeah. Account manager, and then a salesperson, and then
by the time we would get the stuff to run the ads, we had no idea what was going on. I was like, this doesn't even make sense. Like the creative doesn't match the copy, and like it's nightmare. So what I decided to build is to keep it simple. And my recommendation for any of these drop shippers, do the exact same thing. Keep it very simple. Hire an assistant to run your customer service. Keep it very light. Focus on getting your margins up. Focus on selling that next product on there. So that's how you make your money, right? Like your initial sale, you can make money, and I've seen it, but it's getting rarer and rarer and rarer, right? Depending, especially if you're selling anything under $100, we don't even actually take clients on that don't have average order value of 100 or more, because it's very hard to find that return for them.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Interesting. Awesome. So if people want to use your service or read more about you guys, where can they find you?
Profitable ads. Sorry?
You mentioned also an ebook, so can you elaborate?
So they can just check it out and go to profitableads.com, and it's our lead magnet. You come in and check it out. We've literally generated about $40 million in sales for our clients in the last 12 months using these exact audiences. And we'll just give them to you guys for free. Come in, opt in, put your name, email, and then we'll actually show you our philosophy and kind of how we do things. And you can't just like book a meeting with us or anything like that. There's an application process if you want to work with us. But we're very picky on who we're picking and who we're working with, of course. But if you just have a question, you can always just email me directly too. I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's Zach@profitableads.com. I answer all my own emails. I'm old school, man. That's it.
Awesome. Great. So it was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Definitely. No, definitely. It's nice to be here. Hopefully I was value to you and your listeners. And that's my goal, man. I'm not trying to sell anything necessarily. Like I said, I would just like to add value and be honest with people. And there's not some special button that you push somewhere to happen. It just takes time, effort, and understanding that we're selling to other humans. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, the greatest takeaway from this, for me, from this call is also keep things simple. Yes. Nothing is easy, but you should keep things simple and don't overcomplicate. And this also interacts with what you said. We're all selling to people, and when you understand the psychology of your buyer and your avatar, your persona, so if you keep things simple and you understand that you're selling to a person, so probably things are going to go well. So just keep that in mind. Definitely. And what software or app that you have installed, doesn't really matter. It goes away, because you're really solving the problems. And when your messaging and positioning is on point, it's a good life, man. Solves a lot of problems. I agree. Awesome. So thank you so much, Zach. No, thanks for having me, man. Awesome. It's been a pleasure. Bye. Take care. Yeah. Take her easy, man. Cool.